Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Culturally Irrelevant, the podcast where we discuss a collection of today's most significant cultural topics. We'll stay grounded in the biblical worldview. We'll have lots of fun along the way. If you're willing to support us, make sure to follow us across all the major social media platforms. You can find all of our usernames in the podcast description. My name is Miguel, and I'm joined.
Do we put our Venmos in? You said support us. If you want to support us, I have a Venmo. Hit me.
I have a Venmo too.
No.
You
Please
said
reach
support.
out to our official social media channels. You will receive a Venmo link through DM once you follow, and you can contribute your tips directly there and only there.
I'll pay.
Just want to be clear.
I'll pay $1 for every person that follows us
Tonight?
Whoa.
No, just in perpetuity. I'm putting that
perpetuity.
on the record. Yeah, on the record now. You can't do it on every social media platform, but if you follow us anywhere, it doesn't count if you already done it. This is for new listeners only. New listener
Only
offer.
new listeners.
If you follow, I will Venmo you $1.
Brandon, you're about to lose $3 tonight, my friend.
I'm
Charlotte's going to be so upset.
No.
Think about the tens of dollars he's going to lose this year. Like, how is he going to recoup that?
I'm just saying, people call me crazy, but you got to be
Well,
crazy.
we're doing
Are,
it.
so.
We're doing it tonight. You heard it here first. Brandon West is sending $20 to every new follow tonight. So make sure you hop on those social media channels, find those usernames in the description. It's going to be a great time. My name is Miguel. These are my best friends and soon to be yours, Will Russell, David Wright, and Brandon West. We're excited to be here. I want to talk about something. Our favorite autistic space leader, Elon Musk,
Coming in
and his
hot.
fun hand sign, right? Heart to the people. I learned something interesting this week. Shout out to the Joe Rogan Experience, because that's where I learned this from. Apparently, up until World War I, the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America was recited like so. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Okay.
And that was changed after such actions gained notoriety post-World War I, and we adapted it to put our hand over our heart. I say all that to say, are we jumping down the autist's throat because he, quote-unquote, made a mistake? Or are we being gracious to the man, letting him celebrate however he wants to? It's a pretty big night.
I'm not sure where I'm confused by the way you frame that, but I think he did not mean to come off the way that he was perceived. I think he was just being awkward, is the truth of the matter. To what you're saying, all of that symbolism, they didn't invent any of it. But things change. and
So we can't give our hearts to the people
stop
anymore.
it.
You've done that 5 times.
I would like to
Stop.
Can
You're
I
going to
just
get
can
us
I just
kicked
point
off
out?
Twitch.
I'm so proud of this show. This is 3 for 3. We've got 3 shows. This is the 3rd show in a row when we have single-handedly in the first 5 minutes managed to piss off a large part of our viewership with some conversation.
This
So
might be a new
well
record.
done. Well done, culturally irrelevant.
Yeah.
Very proud
Thank
of you
you.
guys.
I'm trying to run a streak here.
Volume. Also, let's remember, this is every week we got to be reminded. This is first audio format, so most people won't know what Miguel's doing, but I don't know if I care to describe it.
That's true. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure you follow us on YouTube. Go watch the video stream, and you can see what's going on right now.
He's doing
It's a hand.
It's a Fortnite dance.
It's a hand gesture, circa 1940s Germany.
Yeah.
No, not circa 1940s Germany. This has been used in all of history. Sometimes you want to give your heart.
All right. What's the
Out
other fun
to the
banter
people.
conversation you had queued up for us?
Oh boy. Yeah, moving on.
Yeah.
That was it.
Jeez.
I've been sitting on that for a week.
Brandon West, you've broken the fourth wall 57 times since we've done this podcast, and we're on episode 3.
It's exciting, isn't
I
it?
just love the fourth wall breaks, which I actually don't mind a fourth wall break, but
So is a compliment.
David,
To
we're
our
happy to
listener-
have.
to our listeners on Twitch and on MySpace and Neopets, what's up? Love you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe. Brandon's going to give you 5 cents for every follow.
David,
man,
we're happy to
Neo-
have you back.
Neopets.
Not a lot of demand there. I'll
Max-
do $100 per Neopet follow.
$100.
But you
guys,
gotta-
we're up in it tonight.
This is this is an ARG.
Do we have any-
If you can
I'm
find our
downloading the Neopets app right now.
Yeah, it's an ARG where if you can find our Neopets username and follow us, I will Venmo you $100.
Bang.
Do you
David
think?
Wright,
Do you think we have any Blue Sky followers? By the way,
No.
do we have any
none.
people that use Blue Sky? I felt like that was a candle that burned for 3 days.
I don't think that's our audience.
Probably not, especially after Miguel's opening monologue.
You may.
That
That was
not
not an
our
opening
people.
monologue. That was a culturally irrelevant tidbit. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
David Wright, we're so happy to have you back. Shout out to David Bybee. He helped fill in last week, but we missed you around here. I, for one, want to call out my fellow co-hosts because they were pretty mean to you. They made a lot of mean jokes. I stood by you. I stood up for you, and yet they continued with talking about nice voices and you looking better. At least that's how I remember it. It was pretty
This
wild.
belongs in the correction portion of the show.
Let's not gaslight myself. You opened up by saying our regular David is sick. David Bybee, a much more handsome fella, is here. And then from there, it just snowballed, which is a term for when a ball of snow rolls down the mountain. You guys were very mean, and I was just there sick in mid-fever, holding back tears, I would say, but happy to be back. And,
Well,
You're here.
I stopped the show. I hope you remember. There was a point where I stopped the show and said, Miguel, I will not allow this to continue. So,
Yeah.
Guys, this is not how I remember that at all.
wow, gaslighting.
Yeah, that's messed
100%.
up.
No, happy to be back. It was
You know who
a
else
good
got
episode.
slid?
Who?
No, it was a good episode. I really enjoyed having David.
It was.
He's a fount of knowledge.
He's great. We love David Bybee here.
A fount of knowledge or a font of knowledge?
It's
Let's
obviously
give
found.
David Bybee. Let's give David Bybee 5 minutes every show just to vamp.
I'll just
So
have him
on whatever
pre-record
he wants
something.
to-
We'll put it at the end.
Yeah.
Closing monologue by David Bybee.
It'll just fade out. No, it was good. But yeah, I'm glad David.
It'll just fade out. What's up?
Guys, let's jump into some hot topics.
Ooh,
wants to
I
slap
love
me?
Hot
Who wants-
Topic.
Who wants to slap me with something first?
I'll go. Hot Topic was a great store,
Hmm.
and I used to shop there a lot, and I would buy cool T-shirts. But it kind of got associated with the occult, and then I kind of stopped. And I was around age 13 that I kind of just cut it out. So
Also, is this my bad memory striking again? But like, did people always look as freaky as they look now? Because they still have, like, you see people walking on Hot Topics now, and it's a little like, it's intense. I don't remember when I was a teenager just looking for Green Day shirts. It feels like it was a store full of pretty normal looking people.
Well, no, they joined the occult, so they're not really at Hot Topic anymore. Yeah, no, now they moved on to other things that you can only buy online.
to be serious, I think, Miguel, I would like to talk about what Trump did with Colombia, which is a country.
All right,
Dude,
in
yeah,
South
break
America
that down
news.
for us.
I don't want to. I'd rather have Will break it down because I think Will, as a former Trump staffer, kind of knows more about his mindset and doing that on the golf course.
No.
Senior advisor Will.
I
Nice.
leave it to you guys to set the stage, and I'll tell you. I'll intervene when it's necessary. Kind of like what he did yesterday on the golf course. But continue, David Wright, David W.
DW from Arthur. So it seems like
What a great show.
was it one or two planes? I heard it was two planes were trying to land
oh,
in. It was two planes trying to land in Colombia, and they were Colombian citizens, and they were refused to land, and it was a big deal, and all the liberals love to see people stand up to Trump, like the president of Mexico or Justin Trudeau. Look at them; they're standing up to Trump. How great! And so Trump, as this happened, was on the golf course, and he just tweeted on True Social. I think it was True Social. All the sanctions you can imagine, all the economic things that would destroy Colombia. You can't come to America if you work for the government. Your passports are revoked. Blah 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 blah.
Your families, everybody.
It was brutal, but I think that's what we want in a president. Someone who he's doing this for the greater good. He said this is for national security, and look, we're the number one superpower in the world, so we should flex every now and again.
yeah.
And also,
And,
they're your people. Take them back. And if you don't, here's what's going to happen.
Well,
Yeah.
Speaking of David Bybee and the Bybee Minute, let me just read. He actually texted a great quick rundown on what happened with Colombia. Says so. Colombia refused to take their illegals, so Trump said they'd get hit with 25% tariffs, which would increase to 50% in a week, revoking every visa for all Colombia government officials and their relatives, etc. Their president, within an hour, is now offering to send his own plane to help deport people.
It was kind of a wild turnaround.
So let's take a step back and look at this thing holistically. Look at this issue holistically. So we've spent the past 4 years running around the world apologizing for what America is, what it stands for, where it came from, what it is now. And I think that this is kind of, at least, this is capstones of the first week of the Trump presidency. This is kind of the epitome of everything that the Biden administration refused to do for 4 years, which was step into the fray like this and say, you know what? We're not going to get bullied around by a country that literally depends on every penny that we give them on an annual basis, and without the United States would cease to exist. And that's kind of the first. Colombia was the first country to step up and say, you know what, shaking their tiny little fists and shrill voices at us, and we were like, you know what, it means absolutely nothing to us.
There goes
Like,
the Colombians.
right. Wow. We're so upset that we won't have your coffee. We'll find it from like one of the 20 other countries down there that make coffee. Like, I for one think it's a great mile marker for him. Like, putting a stake in the ground and saying, this is how this is going to be for the next 4 years. Please, like, for your sake and for my sake both. Like, this, for everyone involved, please do not sit here and try to challenge this. This is what's going to happen. This is the way it's going to go. It's classic Donald Trump, and I absolutely ate it up.
Well,
And moreover, let's talk about the fact that where he did it, right? It shows you the frame of mind that he's in literally all the time. That he can, like, say something like, we're going to impose 50% tariffs on a Central American country next week. Watch me hit this drive. Like, very much. I absolutely.
From one thought
I
to the
think
next.
It's perfect. And it's Donald Trump. It encapsulates who he is in a nutshell.
Yeah,
The
and
entire
it's not.
experience yesterday.
It doesn't seem to be over either, because I was seeing on a Miami subreddit, somebody was talking about the president of Honduras just called an emergency meeting of all Latin American and Caribbean countries. And there's a picture of the document here, and it's titled, or it's not titled, but the sentence has capitals: urgent, extraordinary meeting of presidents and heads of state. They're doing this next Thursday, because now I think everybody's kind of seeing, like, oh, it's business. It's business. It's not talk. It's not democracy. What's the word that I'm looking for? Like when you're engaged in international affairs.
Diplomacy.
It's not diplomacy. This is how it's going to be. This is business. This is what we're doing. You either step in line or you choose the consequences. And I think everybody around us, saying everybody around the U.S. is starting to figure that out.
Well, listen, the world craves this. Whether Mad Libs want to sit up and stand up and scream about it, whatever. Like, the world is craving a leader of some sort, and that void that has existed for the past 4 years is going to get filled by a superpower, whether it be China and Russia, whether it be countries in the Middle East. They're going to step up and start filling that void. And I think that I'm going to appeal to the common good here when I say this. But I would like to believe that these dictatorial leaders in the Central and South American countries, it's considering the fact that they rely on us so much, they're not willing to stand up and say, you know what, I'll roll the dice and take my chances with another superpower.
Yep.
They're the ones that are going to say, okay, let's be reasonable here, even if it means we have to be reasonable for only 4 years. Like, let's be reasonable. But I think that there's a couple of things are going to happen when they start coming around. One, they're going to realize that life with us is a whole hell of a lot better than life without us, right? Two, I think the U.S. population, the ones that are watching and care about this kind of stuff, are going to look at the way that Donald Trump and his administration, and really government-wide approach on all branches of government, are going to treat these other countries, these lesser than countries, we're not going to sit here and we're not going to. I don't know what they think we're going to do, but it's not going to be an extreme. It's just like this is going to be a reciprocal relationship, just like any other relationship. And we're not going to ask you to do too much here, but we are going to ask you to participate. And I think for the voting populace that's out there that pays attention to this, they're going to be looking at this and think, sorry, David. I'm boring David Wright. Just for those of you at home who are sorry, you asked the question.
I was listening. I was
I'm
listening
simply-
energetically. The only thing I would edit on what you said is the world isn't looking for a leader. I think the world at large, and I don't mean to be super cocky about this, but I think the world at large is looking for a strong American leader specifically.
No,
I think that's just
no,
who
I
we
disagree.
are in our country and what we represent worldwide.
No,
No,
I
I
think you see
disagree.
a lot of smaller countries who are happy to have China fill that void.
Yes,
They have a lot
I
of money
think
to
that's
throw their way.
Okay.
Mhm.
I see
Yeah.
what you're saying.
But it's
We have to.
But to go on kind of what Will's saying, it's interesting the comprehensive solution that's coming down the pipe right now to even like with the encouragement for like self deportation. I don't know if you saw the conversations with the El Salvadorian president that's in there right now, who's just going scorched earth with the cartel in the country right now, and has done a very good job with it, but. Apparently they're exploring kind of like a third-party solution right now to where for these countries who are refusing to take back their illegal immigrants with these criminal records, then the alternative is that they'll be accepted into El Salvador and thrown into their just the most brutal prisons that you've ever seen. So it's encouraging these people to say, you know what, it's cool. I'll just go back to where I came from. No worries. So I mean it's just crazy how far along. I mean I think that's we saw it the first time. It was severely bottlenecked by all of the just garbage that was going on during the first term. But now you're seeing again to where it's like. We're so used to the slow-moving cogs of government that just takes forever, and it seems like, well, no, of course, nothing can happen overnight because that's just the way it is. But then once again, he's coming in here, and it's like, we're just now a week into this, and it's just like you can't even keep up with everything that's going on right now. It's just that everything's changing at such a rapid pace where it's like. I thought this would take 2 terms just to get one of these things done, but we're doing it in 7 days. So
First week.
Cool. Yeah, it's cool.
I think it's kind of a result of what J.D. Vance talked about this running up to the election about how Trump was privately funding his own transition team, getting stuff started ahead of time. I wonder if it's just when you don't wait on everybody else and you just get stuff started by yourself, does it not make you so much more effective right out of the gate?
Well, look, he has the experience now, right? That's going to be the key difference between this administration and last. Yeah. Again, I pointed this out last episode or a couple of episodes ago, whatever. I'm more interested. I mean, it's great what he's doing from an international standpoint. It's great what he's doing from the executive order standpoint, but those executive orders aren't worth the paper they're written on. In 4 years, if we have somebody that's not got an R beside their name in the seat of power. So legislatively, like pressure's on with those guys. What are you going to pass?
Yeah,
in
tighten this stuff up.
The Lake and Riley Act is really great. I'm glad that we did that, but we got a whole heck of a lot more that we got to get accomplished. Like one, primarily getting our fiscal house in order. Like, are we going to pass 12 appropriations bills? We're going to establish regular order again. That's something that we've talked about, but it's kind of eluded us as Republicans for a very, very long time. Like, is Donald Trump going to push for that? Or are we just going to continue to pass omnibus after omnibus and say this is the new normal in Washington, D.C., even though it's unconstitutional?
What I
Can
want
you
to
elaborate?
Are we going to pass a 3-term bill?
Uh-oh.
Lord, I hope not.
That's a dumb thing. No, we shouldn't be talking about 3 terms for a president. We should be talking about smaller terms for members of
Term
Congress.
limits.
Term limits. I called it smaller terms. It's term limits. So we should be talking about term limits. We should be talking about stopping insider trading in Congress. We should make the term public servant actually be a public servant. It shouldn't be a glamorous, fun thing where you come and you leave way better off. You should be serving. You should represent the people
That is
the way we
We
have
were-
it now.
Do we all remember what it was? I mean, none of us remember because we weren't alive. But do we all recall what our founders went through to serve their country? Like it was.
I recall that they were
tough.
young kids that were in their 20s, some of them, that were building their own life while also trying to build a country together. And it was work. It was not put on a fancy suit
Yeah.
and make a bunch of money and go have a cush job.
Yeah, they didn't make much money off of this. These are people who, a lot of them were people of the field. Like they're working on farms. They're working in their respective fields. They have to be at work. They cannot be like missing for exactly what a congressperson does, which is go to Washington for the vast majority of 2 years or their term, however long it's going to be, and just field phone calls and fly back to the district whenever they need to. Like these guys sacrifice a lot. Like it is not a sacrifice to go serve in Congress nowadays. It's just not. I mean, it may be for like a couple of rich Congress people and senators who have their own personal planes to fly around because they're independently wealthy from a previous life or through family. But for the vast majority of Congress people, like they come up and they get wealthy while they're here. Like that's not a sacrifice. And I'm not advocating that we don't pay them anything, and I'm not advocating that we make this a long-term fix. But what they do now is just that further just allows and encourages the problem that exists in Washington D.C. Like we got guys who make hundreds of millions of dollars off of fundraising for these candidates, and in lieu of fundraising for candidates and elected officials, they get a voice, a seat at the table when big decisions are coming up. So they put their thumb on the schedule. It's called a lobbyist. Now everybody's got a lobbyist, right? Everybody's got a lobbyist. It doesn't matter who you, right? It doesn't matter who you are, what field you're in. There's an association that's representing you in Washington D.C. But I think it's a little unfair sometimes when you get these power brokers in Washington D.C. who, if you retain the right person, you're going to get your way, because that power broker, that lobbyist, that firm has raised a lot of money for a congressman or senator or whatever. I recognize that I'm advocating against myself right now, because I do some of that.
But I feel like that validates your opinion quite a lot.
But I see it. I see it right now in front of me, and it sucks. Like the nice thing about working for yourself is you get to pick the right people to go work for, right? But there are some guys who have zero moral compass, and they will pick up anybody and everybody, and they will go and advocate just because you're paying them. And it could be for the best of the best. It could be for the worst of the worst. They don't care.
Powerful.
Yeah, it's crazy how far we've fallen from the example our Savior set by coming and accomplishing the greatest work ever accomplished and doing it through sacrifice and through service. Everybody's looking to Jesus to be a warrior and a king and a big figure, and he's like, "No, I'm just here to serve. I'm just here to serve." How radical would that be if we had people in our government that are waking up in the morning feeling the burden of, I got to get up and serve instead of anything else?
What a wonderful transition.
Yeah, great point, dude.
Wow.
I feel guilty sometimes because we say we're grounded in a biblical worldview and, just trying to make an effort to make those connections wherever we can. Because at the end of the day, that's how we're going to be relevant in our culture is by
That's
being
our
radical.
podcast. That's actually our podcast name.
I see what he did there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's gonna be the series finale. Is we're finally relevant. As soon as we have relevance, we're like, all right, back it up.
We become famous and just
We're done.
complete jerks to everyone.
Do you know what being having a firm and being a consultant, what all that begets? Overemployment, which is something I absolutely love. I think we need more of it here in the United States.
Let's dabble into a little overemployment. For those that are maybe just hearing this term, it's a popular movement today where you find yourself able to use your own personal resources, that is you as a product. You find yourself able to use that in multiple fronts, and so you leverage those multiple fronts to become multiple income streams. And people do it faithfully, Some people criticize it. Some people like it. Where do you guys land?
I do it. I currently do it,
Ah,
and
interesting.
I love it.
He's active.
I'm very active.
I think there needs to be some. I think there is a difference.
I gave some broad strokes. You can
Yeah.
sharpen that a little bit.
I think I think specifically what overemployment refers to is claiming multiple full-time sources of income. Like I don't think the traditional definition of overemployment would be, I have a full-time job and then like during my free time I do a little bit of stuff on the side. There's stuff, and I mean the big, and I know, Miguel, this is what you're referring to, is like there's a big, subreddit on the internet, that people talk about overemployment, where people will have literally, 4, if not more, full-time, W-2 jobs. And, people will post pictures of their setups to where they just have like their entire wall is just set up with like, 4, 5, 6 computers from their company. And, this was more feasible whenever remote work was, exploding
True.
earlier on. But, but people will be talking about how they're, bringing in, $800,000 a year because they're able to get, 120 to 150 from, all these different jobs combined. So in that sense of overemployment, I don't think it's right. I think it's dishonest.
Who are these people? Who are these? I want to meet these people.
Go on the overemployment subreddit. You'll find it.
Yeah, my username is. You want to know my Reddit name? I'm on there.
Yes.
No. Yeah, I kind of agree, but to an extent, right? Like, don't abuse the system. If you can do 2 full-time jobs remote, do 2 full-time jobs remote and do them well. I think the hustle mentality and the grind set, like, rise and grind. Do you guys want to know my morning routine?
Yeah,
it's pretty great. I wake up.
Oh yes.
I wake up.
Now 3 episodes. We're finally getting to it.
I wake up at 2 a.m. and I do 500 burpee curls. Look it up.
Is this cool?
No, but look, we can do a lot of work. We can work hard, and a lot of people who have just one full-time job don't put in actual 40 hours. So I'm not opposed to it, but I don't think people should abuse it. And I freelance all the time, and I love freelancing. So
my first reaction to what Brandon you said is, if you're a company and you're paying somebody $150,000 and they have the time for their job to go do 3 other of those jobs, $150,000, the mistake you made was giving that person $150,000 for a job that they could do 4 of. Like, if I can handle a $125,000 job and I can do it according to my conscience faithfully, and also handle another job faithfully, why? I don't understand what's immoral or incorrect about that.
How much
if I'm
is that?
fulfilling all the obligations?
It's because that's not the agreement that you're making with your employer.
How much is that your fault versus the employer's mismanagement of personnel?
Well, I think if you are an employer and you have an employee who you're saying, hey, I'm going to give you a salary so that 40 hours a week you are working for my benefit, and I'm going to make this agreement with you, then I think as an employer, you would hope that this employee would, if they get their stuff done, they would be motivated enough to say, like, okay, what more can I do to make good, to work to the best of my potential for your sake, because you have given me this role. And then I think there is also a scriptural element to it, to where
no, but isn't that a fantasy land, thinking that your employees that you hire are gonna only want to benefit the company and benefit your wallet rather than look out for themselves and their families? Like, they get the job done, but is it their job to go above and beyond?
But that's not how it shakes
Where's
out. It's if you're working 2 full-time jobs, the name of the game is just do what you can here to get by so that you can get over here to do what you can to get by. You're not like, I'm going to go full steam ahead and, rock and roll for both these companies. I mean, again, maybe I'm sure I'm jaded because I've read the way, the people that are actually doing it, and their kind of response to this is, I put in the minimal amount as I can at each job, and like I don't care if I get fired from one because I have 3 others.
That's definitely a bad extreme. However, I agree with Wright fantasy land about, oh, I'm paying you jobs and I expect you to finish your work early and go above and beyond. But I want you to expound on what you were going to say about what your scriptural basis is for saying, hey, here's the agreement with the employer. This is what's expected. And I think you think scripturally there's something there where you have to commit to that and not go outside of those bounds.
Yeah, I think if, you've been placed by, the will of God for your life to be put in this position, and like whenever we do our work, it's, again, all these things sound like cliches whenever we talk about it, but it's the truth.
No,
to where
they're not cliches. They're the word of
it's-
God. You do your work unto Him and His glory. Yes.
Right, you're working unto God and what He
Okay, find that
expects.
passage
It's
real fast.
it's doing everything you can to not serve the man that has been placed in authority over you, but ultimately serving God. So I think with the expectation is, and we all struggle with it. I struggle with it, to where I am getting paid a salary to work 40 hours a week. Am I working 40 hours a week? Not even close. And that's not because
not even close.
Well, it is not. Well, actually, there was a study that was done a few years ago where they
by who? Vox?
No, I would need to find it. I'll put it in the show notes. But they found that on average, people who have 40-hour-a-week full-time jobs work, I think the statistic was like 48 minutes a day of straight continuous work. And then everything else in between is just random nonsense. So people don't work hard. And that's why the people who are successful are the ones that put in 2 hours of work. Or, I'm sorry, that 48 minutes was in an 8-hour day, not a 40-hour week. But that's where, the cream rises to the top. But the thing is like, to be the cream that rises to the top, it doesn't require that much. So it's a whole
Can I be honest?
thing.
Can I be honest? Just between us four girls here.
Yeah.
Just us four. Just us four.
Just us.
The listeners are so confused. They thought we were men this whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
Surprise.
It's surprise. That's part of the that's the key to succeed in this culture today is, and I was telling a family member that when he was getting started in the workforce, I was just saying, like, brother, if you show up and do the work, like you are heads over everybody else.
It's so easy.
Like
It requires so little.
it is that little, and that speaks to our culture as a whole here. And I think that the social media that that culturally irrelevant is on has helped encourage that kind of lazy attitude.
100%.
And it's
Especially when it becomes
built.
an addiction that can fill in your downtimes. Like, that's created a big ethic of do the minimum so I can get back to this.
Well, yeah. Well, it
I'm-
goes even
I'm-
beyond that. The spirit of it is people are given 6-figure jobs and they do it every day and say, like, well, it's my right to be paid this money. It's my right to work here. And this is where, it's totally, so screwed up and backwards the way that so many people are looking at the situation to be. It's like, it's not a privilege to say, hey, look, I got this, great job, great salary. I love my benefits and everything else. It's like, no, you, whoever you are, you owe this to me, because I should have it for, reasons I couldn't quite put into words.
Bill Maher said something over the weekend in his show that I think is worth repeating because it's kind of applicable to this. He said, today there's an entire generation, speaking of our generation, that is too lazy to do the work to really understand an issue, but happy to pose as social justice warriors for it.
That's very
And
true.
I think that that's applicable to the conversation we're having right now. Like, people are more than happy they're too lazy to do the work, but they're more than happy to talk about how awful their employers are, and they're happy to talk about how hard their work week is and how everything just drones on, and they talk about the unhappiness, but you're too lazy to, like, one, actually do the work to figure out if you like the work. Two, you're too lazy to go find another job and find where you want to be in life. If you find out that this job just isn't for you, it's just a lazy culture.
I love Bill Maher. I disagree
don't.
with him on 85% of things, but I love watching Bill Maher. He's the man.
Secretly, yes, I do too.
His podcast, Club Random, is the worst podcast on planet Earth. It's just him in the dark room, smoking illegal drugs, clinking glasses together, and being smug. If you haven't watched Club Random with Bomar, please go watch it. It's so good. It's so good.
I'm here to say that the best podcast on earth is this one right here. Because where else would you find a podcast that quotes Joe Rogan and Bill Maher in the same episode? I'm just saying we have some range here, gentlemen. And the Bible.
And
That's
the
some range.
Bible.
I think Travis Kelce's brother's wife's podcast is actually my favorite. I just love being a woman and living in the 21st century.
Amen.
Do you know?
Kelsey, what's her name? It's a terrible podcast.
Talking about Taylor Swift.
No, Taylor Swift's husband's brother's wife has a podcast.
Taylor
Speaking-
Swift's married?
Speaking of Taylor Swift, let's do a little Super Bowl preview.
I'm gonna go.
It's the worst
Chiefs
Super Bowl.
and Eagles. Why? Why would you say
Jeez.
that?
Oh, man.
Are you just mad that the Chiefs are there again?
No, it's unwatchable. It's almost as bad as the national championship game with Ohio State and Notre Dame. It's so predictable. It makes me angry as someone who has dabbled in sports betting not to just have placed that bet at the beginning of the season. Like, of course, it's going to be the Chiefs and the Eagles. It's the most predictable thing that could ever happen. There's zero parity, and the NFL is not going to allow Patrick Mahomes to do anything other than win. Like,
David,
I
walk
thought
away. He's so offended by this thing.
David is very upset about this. I thought that once Donald Trump became president, that this Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, Kansas City Chiefs psyop was supposed to end. Never ended.
Interesting, and it did not end. They're
It's
committed
still
to that
going.
operation.
Yes.
Maybe you know what? Maybe they really love each other.
I don't
No.
think so. It was funny though.
I don't think so either.
I was
Wow.
watching another
Wow.
podcast, and they were talking about how it's like all of the Swifties that started watching football, and became Chiefs fans because of Travis Kelce and her relationship. They've now gotten to see their team go to 2 Super Bowls in a row in their first 2 years ever caring about football, and they probably look at it like this is awesome. This is so easy. It's like those jerks.
So back to Will's original point, the psyop is still in play and still accomplishing results.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on who's running the psyop, right? I personally think that it was a government psyop to get you to go take your vaccine.
Yeah, so the way the
that's
cars
just me.
take the corner though, it's so fast, but I think it's fake.
Yeah, the more F1 I watch, honestly, the more I think there's no truth to F1.
I
It's
agree.
worse than WWE.
Well, let's move.
Have you
on
ever
to
seen
the
an
next
F1 driver?
conversation now
Have
that
you ever
we-
seen
No.
an F1
Alright.
driver? They're tiny little people too.
Yeah.
That's enough
Who
F1
would-
talk.
That's-
How could you ever
No,
look up to a
Bill,
tiny little guy like that?
Our
I'm
F1 minute's over. But
Oh,
anyways.
sorry you missed it,
Oh
Dave.
shoot, David just came back. Oh, we should have waited for you for the F1 minute.
Look at him poker facing.
I
Look at him
know.
poker
I
facing.
don't know
You can
how-
crack.
I don't know
So
how we
upset.
missed that. That was a no-brainer. Of course, David needs to be in on the F1 minute. Dang it. Oh,
So
So-
back to Taylor Swift. Wow, what a hot girl. No, I want to bring this up, and we're all Christian men here,
Yes.
and you're all 3 of you are married, and I'm single. But we talked about the
So we're not going to
attractiveness.
agree with anything that you say for the
We
record.
talked about the attractiveness of a certain congresswoman.
dating
We talked
couple in
about
the show notes for you
is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez a good-looking woman? We talked about this in our group chat. I posit yes, she's a beautiful woman. I disagree with her politics, but great gal.
Maybe this is
You
the,
two disagreed.
foreshadowing
did.
for the after show.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into the deep detail that I entered in during a private group chat, but I feel like I made a very strong case with objective measures of physical.
Yeah.
No, Miguel. You said
Evenness.
I don't think she pretty. That's what you said.
Miguel
was your
and I
text.
put
No.
together a PowerPoint that we're going to do in the after show only for our Patreon subscribers. They'll see it, and we'll settle it. It's
Okay, fair enough.
going to turn the tide.
AOC's level of attractiveness. Put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Let's jump to something more
Yes,
fun.
Super Bowl is stupid, but there's one more.
Thank you. Someone else said it. I
Yeah.
feel like I was on an island here.
I don't even really care to watch it, to be completely honest with you.
I went to the
will.
bathroom to avoid talking about the Super Bowl. I was like, this is a good time to use the restroom.
It's just so
I come
boring.
back, and then you're trying to be silly. Yeah, no, come on. The Redskins lost.
Oh,
The Bills lost. Who cares?
I'm going to a Super Bowl party just to eat the food and leave.
wow. That's
I don't
good.
understand. I don't understand how we as a society became like allergic to winning. Why are we all mad now? Because it's
Oh, Miguel.
if a team is good and they keep going and they keep winning, that's great. We didn't do that to Michael Jordan. Did we do that to Tom Brady? I don't think we did that to Tom Brady. Like Dolphins fans were sick of
Michael
it, but
Jordan
in
is
general,
insufferable.
Everybody
like
hated
Patrick
the
Mahomes
Patriots.
is.
For 2 decades, everybody hated
no.
the Patriots.
Dolphins hate.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
What,
everybody
I
hated
don't-
the Patriots.
everyone
dude.
hate-
Everybody.
Everyone hated the Patriots.
I don't
know
know.
what-
Everybody
I don't know
hated the Patriots, but it's different though because they were a good ball team. They ran the ball down the field and scored.
Well,
It's the
besides
refs.
cheating.
The
Yeah,
refs.
That's why.
the refs.
That's why the
refs-
Patriots won so many Super Bowls because of their running game.
The Patriots literally
No, I
cheated
didn't-
multiple
okay, I didn't.
times.
Okay, well, you're wearing an orange shirt, so everything you say is irrelevant, culturally irrelevant.
Audio,
Follow us on Instagram.
audio show. Still podcast.
Audio show that you make sure that we live stream. But all right.
Yeah.
I-
that's true.
I would like to know what both Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady say to these refs during the games that get the refs to be like, okay, all right, you're right. I'll call it next time. God, you just please stop
don't
yelling
have
at me.
to-
What
They don't.
What do
they
they
don't
say?
have to tell anything.
I
You don't have
sent
to
a
say anything
guy-
to the ref.
He's standing outside your house right now. He reads the address, shows him a picture of his home with the family. It's a threat.
No.
It's dark.
You-
It's very dark.
You
All of
think-
that,
you
all of
think
that
the
coordination
Chiefs-
is done way ahead of time. Nobody's talking to the refs on the field. That's already been settled. Here's who's winning. This
Got
is
it.
what's happening. That's locked in before the season starts.
Hey, it's Vegas, and I've been there. I've been to Vegas. It's a big city.
Have you?
Yeah, beautiful city. If you like terrible architecture and awful.
Every time I look at
people.
Will's video screen, I feel like I'm in Vegas right now.
Yeah. If he opens the blinds, you'll see the sphere.
Make sure you check us out on YouTube so you can see Will's light show.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Finish your point, David. Finish your point. I'm sorry I cut you off.
13-year-old bedroom.
Oh no, I think the Patriots did well. I know I said run. I didn't mean that. The Patriots did well, and people disliked them. But then you warmed up to them. The Bills, you can't warm up to them. I mean, like, look at Patrick Mahomes. Look at his dumb brother who posts terrible TikToks and is a moron. And look at his. And then there's a guy on the team who's dating some skinny white girl, and it's too much. Like
Guys,
when
do
people
not
are
afford that.
shoving down a team down your throat to like them, it's not likable. It seems inauthentic, and that's why I don't like the Chiefs. I'm sure Patrick is a great guy, but
And then we see them on commercials smiling as they put their Band-Aid on after getting a COVID shot. I'm like, this is an op. Please.
There you go.
It
there you
seems
go. That's
oppy.
evidence.
All right.
seems oppy.
I want
All
to stop talking about the Super Bowl because something happened today, which is
Ooh.
one of the is basically the
Use your
craziest-
words.
One of the crazy. I'm trying to see if how grand I can make this statement, but I'm just gonna say, the stock market had a bad day, and
Ooh.
it's because of China, and
China.
it's
And DeepSeek?
because of DeepSeek basically turned all of AI on its head. And things aren't looking good for the United States and artificial intelligence at the moment. Thank goodness for President Trump and his willingness and understanding the need to invest very quickly into AI and AI infrastructure, because this is as impending a threat as one can have in the world today. And whenever we see China, who they can't even get the same quality of semiconductors as we can get in the United States, but with the worst technology, substantially, not as efficient technology, they're able to create these AI models that are now performing on the level of what, the best ChatGPT, OpenAI models are doing. And it's just blown the gates all the way open. And the statistics that we're seeing out of the stock market. So there was the stock market declined from all of these different stocks that are AI focused or adjacent. $1 trillion wiped off the board just today.
What?
$1 trillion. I saw an interesting comparison that somebody mentioned. I took a screenshot. So Nvidia, they've been rocking and rolling for a while. I think they were the most valuable company in the world until today, maybe the second. The Nvidia's decline is more than double the market cap of Coca-Cola and Chevron, and exceeds the market cap of both Oracle and Netflix. That's
In
how
a
much
day?
money came off their books. I think it was close to, Nvidia just today lost almost $600 billion in market cap.
Well,
Oh
I
my
had a bunch of puts on Nvidia, so I ended up making a lot of money today.
So you're crushing.
This is good.
So,
Brandon-
so you're telling me
That's-
now's a good time to
You're going
buy.
to be getting a call from the SEC after the show.
Yeah, you buy the dip. You buy the dip.
Brandon, you're a software engineer, so can you take it past the hyperbole of it turned the chat GPT on its head? Can you talk about like what, as far as I know, it's an LLM is an LLM. I mean, is it more capabilities that this Chinese version has, or is it the fact that it's the same capabilities but cheaper, or do they have bigger data sets they train on? Like what, I don't understand what's so much better.
So it's the efficiency of the model that they're using is what's so impressive. Basically, what they're doing is focusing on certain areas and extrapolating their models from there. So take like OpenAI with ChatGPT, they're taking 800 billion data points, and that's how they are constructing the responses that you get from the model in something like ChatGPT. So
I'm guessing that takes a lot of work to assimilate all that.
It takes a ton of work, and that's why something like Nvidia, that's why they're going like this with this AI boom, is because speculators are looking at the AI market and saying, well, we're going to need these, highly superpowered, supercomputers to be able to handle where we're going with AI right now and where we need to, eventually be. And we're going to need somebody like Nvidia to come in and accomplish that. Meanwhile, you have, what China's doing with DeepSeek, to where they're able, I think it's something like, they're using like 70 to 80 billion data points. So it's like a tenth of what you're seeing with ChatGPT. And what they're doing is they're somehow, I'm not an expert on this by any means, and I need to read more about it. But basically what they're doing, instead of focusing on breadth, they've figured out a way to just focus on scope. So they're able to look specifically at things like, mathematics and programming and science. And they're able to, with,
So maybe finding a way to like silo things so that if I ask a question, it doesn't have to start from the biggest to bring it down to the smallest. Like you're saying that they figured out a way to make it so that your prompts or your questions are getting channeled faster, using less electricity or whatever processing power, and just making it more efficient.
I think that's a pretty good way to put it. I think, to sum it all up, what we found out today with their model is it doesn't require supercomputers to run very advanced AI, and people are freaking out about that. And it has a lot of negative repercussions for not all companies, but a lot of companies and the trajectory in which they were headed. We don't have to get into the whole AI impending doom this episode. We should at some point, because it's interesting, and it is something that's probably going to be the end of the world. But that will be a teaser for next episode.
Next episode for sure. But
Leave it there.
For our listeners who are still awake, we apologize for
That was so much more interesting
so
than Will's
quickly.
monologue.
It was
Come
not.
on.
Next topic, science. What are we doing here? Culturally irrelevant. We could talk about the stock market and AI, but I mean, come on, dude. I just literally fell asleep. My heart monitor was like, your heart rate is at 40 beats per minute. I'm dying over here.
Okay, well,
Says
first
more
of
about you
all-
than the topic.
First of all, that was overly aggressive. Second of all, for the person that told us to not reference the live audience, you've done that 3 times this episode.
We are
Third
live
of
on
all-
Twitch and we are live on Facebook Marketplace, baby.
Facebook Marketplace. Hey, I like that. That was a hot topic hit. Somebody hit me
No.
with something else. Somebody hit me with something else.
I just want to say one thing on the AI portion of this. Like,
This is good because David Wright hasn't gotten enough.
I know. This blends
Super Bowl to
the
AI.
market.
Super Bowl to science. David hates science.
Part of I think the stock market falling today is because they're advertising that they can do all of the things that Brandon West, the aforementioned things, but they can do it cheaper, right? I think that I saw a figure today that was like 500 million versus 5.6 million. And I, for one, do not believe that, especially given the fact that this is China and they're all about some price manipulation, currency manipulation. I don't believe that for a second. So I don't think that this is a flash in the pan. I think that they do probably have something going on over there, but I don't think it's as rose-colored glasses viewed as rose-colored glasses as they'd like to project.
Well,
I would say that's solid.
I think the kind of the thing to think about though is they literally don't have access to the same technology with which we're operating. So there has to be a lot of truth there. Like
They don't have what do you mean by how can you say that?
There's bans on import of a lot of the technologies that we're using that are specialized for this kind of thing.
They've been stealing a lot of things for a long time.
That was the first thing I thought of too.
What's the
Isn't
difference?
Taiwan?
Taiwan's not trading with China.
Yeah, it's owned by China.
They're not trading. They're not trading their chip, their high level products. They're not sending that to China. Not through green channels, anyways. I mean, I don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Well, to put just a bow on this, and definitely to push this into a future episode talk, I think that AI is probably the most culturally relevant thing we have going on right now, just because of what we're talking about right now for the last few minutes shows you that kind of impact. If you go back 20, 30 years, guaranteed, but I say if you go back like 10 years.
Go back 100 years.
No.
Go back 1,000 years.
Well, yes. Thank you, guys. If you go back just a few years and you tell somebody
Biblical times. This is biblical proportions.
This is
if you
pretty
go back
biblical
and tell
proportions,
if
dude.
you go back and tell Moses about AI. No, if you
Why
go back
not
a few
Adam?
years, Adam was
Oh,
not ready for that.
stop.
In the garden, they didn't need any of that
Let
stuff.
Miguel talk.
No, it's all right. This is what we do here on CI, and this is how we have fun. This is the chemistry that you tune in for. And I think if you go back even a few years and you tell somebody, "Oh, there's this new AI thing, and in a few years it's gonna affect the stock market by $1 trillion," you get laughed out of the room. And yet here we are talking about it. So clearly, AI and everything that we can spend hours talking about what it means for the short-term future, the long-term future, that might be one of the most relevant things we got going on right now. So
I think so.
salute to you, Brandon West.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, I'm ready.
Disagree.
I'm ready to talk about what David wants to talk about for a
Yeah.
few minutes here. Hit us
Hit us
David.
with something.
What's
Hit
been
us with something
burning?
good, David.
What's been rolling around that mind of yours?
Oh, we lost Will. He's not going to listen to whatever David has to say.
Oh, hey, Will.
There he
back.
is.
My man. No, I mean, look, I don't want to like shortchange AI in the stock market. I just think you droned a bit, which is fine. But speaking of drones, what are they?
Guys, he's just getting his rocks off from the last episode. We ragged him. He's got to rag us back. It's
I
cool.
wasn't
We love you,
there. Thank you. I love you too. And I wasn't there. No, I have nothing specific. We've been going for a bit. I mean, I have a bedtime, so I don't know about y'all, but
Okay.
Well,
Are
we can get wrapped up here.
transition
We can
into
get
a fun
wrapped up
thing?
here pretty tight. What'd you say?
You gonna transition us into a fun thing now?
Yeah, let's do a fun thing.
the fun thing is AI. Brandon West, talk to us about AI again.
Give us the next 3 cryptos we have to invest. Guys, can I be totally honest?
West coin.
Sure. Go ahead, Miguel.
I was gonna say it first, but I don't know why you had to ruin the surprise, Brandon.
It's okay.
Our next 10 followers will get 100 West coins for free.
Wow.
For free. All you have to do is send us any crypto wallets you have and their passkeys, and we will transfer 100 West coins into your wallet directly to you.
Airdrop.
Do you guys like rug pulls? You're in for a great treat.
You're gonna love this.
You're in for a hell of a ride.
Speaking of rug pulls, I'm sorry that I have to even refer to her by the vulgarity that made her famous. I cannot remember her name.
Oh, Haley Welsh.
Haley Welsh. Thank you, Wright. Thank you for taking me out of that. She has disappeared entirely after that pull. I was reading. Apparently, there's people that think that it was people in her circle that took advantage of her and maybe abused the position they were in.
Builder?
But
Oh.
that what?
Yeah, she's dead.
No, she's
She's
not
dead.
dead.
Like, she's gone.
She stole $80 million. What else do you do other than disappear?
It's just wild that it happened in front of our very eyes. Like, what are these times that we're living in?
I think whenever
Sinful.
you pull off a
Sinful
big heist,
times.
I think generally you try to
Sinful
stay out of the public eye for a little bit.
Yeah,
You
look
think
at
that
the
she's
document.
capable of doing something like that on herself, or do you think it was somebody that would have?
No, she didn't program
Snuck
the
something
coin
through.
herself, if that's what you're talking about.
No, but what did they tell her? Hey, we can make a coin and make you a bunch of money. All you got to do is go on here and then just be done after. Or do you
No.
think it was done behind her back?
It was. I think it was. I'm willing to be proven wrong, and this is just my opinion that it feels like there might have been malicious intent involved. I think with everything, all of the context that was surrounding it, and the guys that she worked with, and the fact that it was a rug pull, makes me think that she maybe knew that she was about to make a lot of money really fast.
The best part about the rug pull is they tried to defend themselves. So the main guy who was in charge of this whole project was Doc Hollywood on Twitter, on X, and he's a complete moron. And so they're on for hours trying to defend their position. No, this is not a rug pull. This is completely legit. And then Haley just goes, "All right, y'all, I'm headed to bed." It's the last thing she's ever said on the
That's
internet.
the last
thing she ever said was, "All right, y'all," in this like just deep Mississippi,
Ugh.
Alabama, just
Hey,
gnarly
watch yourself.
accent.
Watch yourself.
Ugh.
Yeah, what's the capital of Mississippi?
I don't know.
3,
Jack
2, 1.
Jackanistan. Jackanistan is the capital of Mississippi.
No, but yeah, she's off the grid, I think.
Yeah.
I think
For
so
her.
too.
Hey, doing her
All
thing.
right,
Her and
let's
that
wrap
little boy that scammed $30,000 out of those people. That's a callback to whoever listened to the hidden episode of the show.
The hidden episode, that kid who's like 15 or something.
Yeah, he live streamed himself scamming a bunch of people out of $30,000.
That was wild. But it must have sucked to watch everybody rescam his coin and make him lose out on potential millions.
Yeah, but
So let's wrap this podcast up with something fun. And by something fun, I mean a really deep topic that I think
Bitcoin.
our listeners will find pretty enlightening. So I'm going to filibuster for you, and you're just going to answer one question. The scenario is you've been given the option to save one movie franchise from destruction. Everything else is gone. Everything else is destroyed. You can select one singular franchise. You can go with something that's got a lot of movies because you want to have a lot of movies in your house, or you can go with something that's the best that everybody's going to have to watch. What are you saving and why?
Mission Impossible.
Ooh,
That's it.
Ooh, that makes
Dude,
it harder.
you stole the one that I was going to save. Somebody stole my first one. So you stole my second one. Good job.
No, you're.
Okay.
I mean,
That is the first one. This conversation is over. We can end the podcast.
no.
Thank you guys so much.
That's a good take. There's a lot of
That's a
movies.
good-
There's a lot
I
of
love watching Tom Cruise run. Wes, you and I have discussed this. There's something cathartic about seeing that short man just move his legs and arms so
They're
fast.
so fast.
It's just so fast.
I wonder how fast
I
he is
don't
in
know.
person.
I have
I
no
don't know.
idea how he gets him going that fast.
It's just the
I just
little
don't know how I feel
guys.
about Tom Cruise being the surviving star, but it's a good take.
Scientology. But
All right, Miguel,
it
your
works for
turn.
him.
Probably.
Miguel, go.
I'm definitely going with Lord of the Rings. It's just
You're so close
Of
to the
my
camera
heart,
right now.
I know, I'm sorry. I can watch it 1,000 times and still be entertained, and it's an easy selection. And if you haven't watched it, you need to. So that's going to solve the problem for the whole world.
That's where I was gonna go with it originally. Wait, hold on. If Will goes down a little bit in the camera frame, sorry, this is only for our video audience. If Will goes down to where like his nose is cut off, and then David goes up to where his nose is just cut off on the other side, then we can make it look like David's mouth is Will's mouth, and then we can make Will say whatever we want.
With friends like these, you go far in life.
We'll do that. That's after show plans, only for those who support us on Patreon.
David, give me your quick.
Well, I think Lord of the Rings is a great choice because it has been ruined by the prequels were The Hobbit, right? And those movies were like just completely unwatchable.
Garbage.
This is
Garbage. What a good book, by the way. Let's just go with Shrek, I guess. Shrek's a great movie. He's an ogre. He's green, and then he marries this girl who's hot, but she decides to be ugly. Shrek.
I like the synopsis, but I also think that's a great selection.
I don't know
Shrek
what to say.
is a classic.
That's a terrible selection. Come on.
No,
Guys,
no.
today we're going to talk about
Let's be
nothing.
honest.
Brandon West, take it off.
Let's be honest.
Take it from here.
So
Yeah.
Is your mic broken?
no, I feel like this is the first time everybody's actually paid attention to me at one time.
Yeah, talk about something interesting.
You were deep in a topic earlier, and I looked up and I was like, "Wow, all three of us are looking at our phones right now. It's pretty sad."
Yeah,
Dude,
no,
I was
there's
literally
gonna
doing
be
my
one.
taxes. I was literally, no joke, booking an Airbnb for somewhere else. Get me out of here.
There's gonna be one guy that listens to this, and he's gonna be like, he's gonna feel super represented with his interests. So I'm looking forward.
Shout out to you, guy or girl.
Thank you.
Give us the movie selection so we can get out of here.
Mission
He's
Impossible-
never felt so heard.
Mission Impossible is good. My knee jerk reaction was Lord of the Rings, but you only get 3 movies, and that's tough. They're some of the greatest ever made for sure.
And an okay show. Rings of Power is not terrible.
It's terrible. It's
It's
not
slow,
good.
but it's
What's your pick?
very cinematic.
I think I would go. I just thought of another one. I think I would go with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, kill me right
easy.
now.
It's a lot of movies.
Lord.
It's a
Oh my
lot of
gosh.
movies.
You get about 40,
Oh,
you
Wes.
get about 40,
gosh.
you get about 40 movies out of it.
God.
A lot of which are excellent works of cinema. It's exciting. They all build to a climax together. They're easy to watch. I mean, Lord of the Rings is awesome. I can't sit down and watch Lord of the Rings every night. I could probably watch just Marvel movies for a little while and be okay. And it's fun. It's easy. It's light. You can show it to people. Watch with it. Creates
Have we
a
settled on a title of this episode? Like, what do we want to title this? Like,
Gosh.
don't listen to this episode.
Pour
You know,
yourself to tears.
I don't understand. I don't understand why we have so much negativity on the show. We're here to bring life to people, to bring
Because
positivity.
good grief, like he just labeled an entire, like, those are like 150 movies of all of the different. Pick a series, bro.
He didn't pick a real series.
that's a
He
great
didn't pick
pick.
an actual
That's a
in
great
series.
pick.
his post-apocalyptic universe, you will have a lot of choices of movies. In mine, you're gonna have 3 and a debatable series. In his, you're gonna have 150 movies to watch. So there's validity in that.
Yeah, and then at what point do you shoot yourself in the head because you realize these movies are awful and I'm only
All
on
of
Iron
them.
Man 2?
Yeah,
All
while you're watching Shrek the Third.
That probably happens.
You don't even get Puss in Boots because
Oh.
The Homecoming.
Isn't it the same universe? That counts.
Does it?
I would say so.
All right,
All right, boys.
you can have Puss in Boots.
We-
I don't know.
Please don't say that movie title again. Just don't say it anymore.
I'd be weird about it.
Boys,
I
we've
want,
been
I want the
rolling
Tom
along.
Cruise. I want the Tom Cruise universe.
Hold on,
Is my movie selection.
Scientology universe is fine.
We need to keep interrupting
Okay.
Miguel every time he tries to close the show down.
Yeah, just like
Sure.
you did during the intro, jerks. I've been working on that intro all day.
That was me.
all
That was my
day.
fault. That was my fault.
I think that was the
All
best intro
day.
we've done thus far.
Thank you. I agree. I think it's the best episode we've done so far.
I
We've
think
been
the best
culturally
part of the
relevant long
episode.
enough.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, he's trying to stop you, David. Don't let him.
Go.
Boys, we've been culturally relevant long enough. Let's get out of here.
I'm done. Love you, kids.
If you say so. If you say so.
Love you.
The mystic fox dance, it's gone and reappears. Well, night vision, everything you're telling me is a lie. It's just another.
This has been an episode of Culturally Irrelevant, a production by us. Check it out on X, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, or any other major podcast platform by searching for the Culturally Irrelevant Podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you back with the boys next week.